good evening and welcome to UPfront. My name is Raymond Alqua. Today, we review the program that's supposed to bring the biggest relief to SHS students in this republic. We'll see whether it's fit for purpose as it's supposed to be rolled out soon. You're welcome back. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Alqua. My guest today is the spokesperson of the Minority on Foreign Affairs. In his previous life, he was actually a Deputy Minister for Education. So we are looking at government's perhaps biggest program for this particular year. And of course, also because of the introduction of that program and its implementation this year, the free SHS program. Already, there's a lot of concern being put out there by some parents about how it's being rolled out and what the end in sight is supposed to be. The Honorable has been talking about what the alternative should have been in this particular case, but government really did not take your advice. They are proceeding with this particular plan. Now, let's look at prior to the students getting to school on the 11th. The difficulty in this case is placement. And since 2005, when the computerized school selection program was introduced, I can't recall a single year where parents did not complain. And also because about the standards of who gets to go to which school has been defined and redefined over the period in different ways. But let's look at this more importantly. They say there's an improvement that they brought to what's supposed to be the situation now. Unlike what your government did, they do not choose schools for students, parents, so I mean their wards who make the choice. They allow them to make the choice even if they don't get the first 4 choices that they chose. Is there a better plan?
Well, first of all, let's go back to what used to pertain. When we were at the Ministry of Education, the policy was that the students make the choice. So you select the schools that you want to be placed by the computerized school selection and placement system. We were not choosing for students. The students chose. The students and their parents chose the schools they wanted to attend. So if you missed out on the cutoff, which is really about competitiveness, if the lowest mark was say 450 to enter pre-sec, and you got 449, you don't blame the Minister of Education. You have your second choice. So the computerized school selection and placement secretariat will immediately, automatically, the system puts you in your second choice or your third choice based on the competitive scale, your results. And that's how it was. What is happening now, we will need further clarification. We are told that now if you miss out on your first choice, they want to leave it to you to go select a school based on vacancies in schools that are available. Really, isn't that another layer of cumbersomeness which has been introduced? You should just have maintained the old system where you know that if you miss out on your first choice, this is your second choice, this is your third choice. Because whilst you're asking that they should wait to choose from a published list of vacancies, others may have in the old system, you'll be better off if immediately you are given a preference based on your second choice that you made. But this time, your second choice may be somebody's first choice, and there will be no vacancy. And we are seeing that at play. And it appears to me that the government did not spend time at working out the modalities, building a robust system, because the IT system has broken down twice already.
But they've introduced a new, what do you call it?
a new web address. I get the impression that they spent a lot of time on the razzmatazz, on the launch of logo, appointing free SHS ambassador, and all of those things. All of those things, which really. So why do you need publicity? Somebody who doesn't even attend. Somebody who doesn't even.
If you're not able to package your own the way it ought to be packaged, and they have actually generated not only an ambassador but also a launch of the logo. What's the big deal?
Well, you will be exposed when it comes to the cracks, when it matters most.
Some months ago, he gave the greatest assurance that all was set. Indeed, he said monies will be front-loaded to the schools
it's
to
all
avoid...
set. It's all set. All the things that he said will be done have not been done. I heard the Charles president speak yesterday that they were promised that they would have their releases 2 weeks to the time. It's 5 days to go. They don't have the money yet.
They're in a conference. They're supposed to come out to the solution soon.
Charles conference
yes.
will release the money to themselves.
No,
government told them 2 weeks to go. You see, when you spend all the time, when you spend all the time on them,
it's not new.
On publicity, Razzmatazz, marketing,
I didn't add Razzmatazz
ambassador, and all of those things. When you don't focus on what matters,
but there were committees that were dealing with all of these issues. But you would admit that the people who are actually putting together the ambassador were not the same people actually working on the most important parts. There were committees, different ones were set up to do that. As
they are seeing now, they should have spent more time on what matters. What matters is really the placement. If the students don't get a school, free SHS doesn't matter to them.
Okay.
So they should have focused on what matters. They should have prioritized, and all of the issue of logos and ambassadors
solution,
and all of that.
How did they fix this problem to do with placement?
There are two things which I think that contributed to where we are now. Last year, the CSSPS, the Computer School Selection Placement System, was in its 10th year. Okay. It reached a decade milestone. So we put together a review conference.
Okay.
The report of that review conference is available. It appears to me that they didn't diligently read the recommendations.
But they made changes to it. So how do you conclude they didn't?
Because the recommendations we made have not been implemented.
Specifically, what was the biggest issue?
We talked about strengthening the system. We talked about making sure that everybody said they preferred the choices that was available to the students. First choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice. They talked about how you needed to maintain very minimum protocol, because the grade A schools are already under so much pressure. You didn't follow that recommendation. You have now brought 30%. Already, look at the number of people striving to get into Wesley Girls, get into Prese, get into Achimota. Then you now have limited the space, narrowed the space, and says that, and you are saying that 30%. You are saying that 30% is for people from public schools. Meanwhile, we don't know the criteria.
That's what they're saying.
Public schools from where? What is
from
the criteria?
From the poorest areas of the country. I mean, that's known, right? They said
known by who? Just say by poorest areas in the countries. What's the criteria? What data are they using?
The same criteria you use to select the poorest students from the poorest areas to determine for your specialized, what they call it, progressive free education. They are saying they are using a similar criteria to make sure that these students are not disadvantaged merely because they happen to come from poor areas.
See, the philosophy is not bad. I am inclined to.
It's actually social-democratic in nature.
I'm inclined to go with the philosophy that underpins, undergirds this whole arrangement, but lack of transparency. No blueprint, and that has been the problem. The whole free SHS of
the names have not been pasted yet, so how do you know that there is no transparency in the system?
There's no, before even the names are posted, let there be transparency. Let us know the criteria. What is the cutoff point? Which areas? Which data are you using? You see, then I'm not impugning any wrong motive. I'm not saying that perhaps the MPP ministers are going to put only their friends or constituents or cronies. They haven't said that. But I'm saying that to avoid all of that, because this placement in it can be very emotive. I mean, parents, they take leave and they want to make sure that
their kids are in school in the right schools. Actually,
exactly. So it's a very and you don't want a situation where a child says, "I got grade 7, I'm not there," but I see on the notice was somebody with grade 30. I can't understand it. What's the criteria? It can lead to all kinds of tension, distress, and despair, which is totally avoidable. That is why I am calling for a publication of the criteria, the methodology, so that we'll all be at rest and we can all support the new government that this is a very transparent system, it's very objective, and this is how it operates.
So the 30% was too much. What was your recommendation?
I would have gone, because you see, at the end of the day.
But you said the committee worked on it. What did the committee recommend?
You want the committee said that when we did a review, the committee said that we should maintain the 10% for those within a certain catchment area, and then make sure that there is really no protocol, because you had all these secret protocol arrangements. When we got to the ministry, my boss, Professor Nana Jenopukwajima, declared no protocol, and she stuck to it. And that helped. It freed up space, because you see, at the end of the day, if you don't do that, then meritocracy doesn't reign. And people who have worked hard and burned the midnight oil and got the results.
You not get results even when you work hard.
Yes, when you work hard. And it really destroys the system. And I thought that those recommendations should have been taken on board. So that is the first observation that I make. The second observation is this penchant by the new government to replace people in the public service and bring in their favorites. We had a solid team at the CSSPS Secretariat. They are no more. When the last time I was checking, we are all new guys. Sometimes experience counts for something. At least for this first year, they should have allowed the old guys to stay and then guide the new guys, their favorites who they want to take over, so that they can, at least have a smooth transition. They didn't do that.
But you're of the opinion that the people who came in do not have the requisite competence to continue?
No, I haven't said that.
They may even better than the people who were previously there.
Yeah, you may be better, you may even be better educated and all of that, but sometimes experience people.
But sorry, you're just running a software
they can share
that distributes students to schools. How is that such a big thing that requires experienced people to be in that system?
The sweetness of the food is in the pudding.
There's no evidence
this
that
is what they have
even
served
if
us.
the old people were there,
This is
it
what they
wouldn't
have
have been
served
like
us.
this.
This is what they have served us.
I'm saying that there's no evidence that even if the old people were there, it wouldn't have been like this.
Last year, it wasn't this terrible. I was at the Ministry of Education for 4 years. No, not 1 year did we experience what is happening today. Go to the Ministry of Education. It's been besieged by parents from all over. You saw the front pages.
This is free SHS
you saw the
time.
front
People
pages. You saw the front pages of the papers.
Yeah.
You heard them. There's a GNA report that just came out this morning. I was reading, where parents are saying if this is what free SHS means, they don't want free SHS. They want the
frustration.
Yes, but why should we get?
Parents have always been frustrated when they are trying to put their kids in school.
At a time where you are assuring Ghanaians that this is the free era. At least for those of you whose wards are going to first year, free era. And yet they keep buying these scratch cards, 8 CDs, some say 10 CDs. They keep buying them. They are paying more.
But that expenditure is nothing compared to what they are paid to be in school in the first place.
I've had accounts of parents saying they've bought it about 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And they are going nowhere. They tell them, oh, go and buy again, go and check.
So for you, making it free would have been part of it?
Internet costs. People now, I heard the new CSSPS director say that if you are in a village where there is no internet cafe, travel to the nearest internet cafe and all of that. The transportation cost when coming to Ministry of Education.
And these costs were non-existent previously.
CSSPS secretary to come and agitate.
Are you saying that these costs were non-existent previously?
Yeah, because the system was not this chaotic. This is such a mess. And to even make matters worse, for the first time, we are hearing of males who have been posted to female schools, females posted to male schools.
That's not the first time.
First time. I worked at the Ministry of Education for 4 years.
There is virtually every year that this is mentioned. People complaining that...
This never came to my attention at the Ministry of Education.
Of course, you sit at the top. It hardly comes to your attention, really.
No, I am hands-on. Ask the directors I worked with. I was always hands-on. I don't believe in sitting at the top, because you would take the fall for it anyway. So I always get involved. And you even have students being posted to schools for special students, those who are deaf and dumb and all of those, and they are not supposed to be in those schools. So it's been very chaotic and messy. And it's clear to me that the focus was too much on just propaganda, razzmatazz, publicity, get ambassadors, or launch logo and all of that, when we should really have been, working.
How did they fix the system?
Fixing the system, I believe that some of the experienced guys, and the GES has some of the most experienced people, some of them there before I was born. engage them.
Sorry, but I've seen that they brought
Take advice from
Director General, right? They
yes,
there's a new
Director General. There's a new CSSPS Director as well.
Yes, but these are just two top positions.
There's been a lot of reshuffle.
Really?
I'm telling you, yes.
How many directors have actually left the GS today?
I'm from the Ministry of Education. There's been a lot of reshuffle. I can tell you.
How many directors have left the GS today?
I can tell you that they've been given different assignments. The Director of Secondary is no longer, Mr. Nkum is no longer the Director of Secondary. You can check. You can check that for a fact. So this pension...
You mentioned only one, actually.
I don't need to mention...
No, because, I mean, you are saying that there's a lot of moving around.
Yes, there's been a lot of that.
I want to be able to picture that with the number of directors there and conclude that this is really the case.
I have told you that there's been a major movement around. I've told you.
But you reference only one in this case.
Yes, because because he's relevant to. We are discussing secondary education.
I get your point.
You know, and I've told you the CSSPS director who's no longer there. Mr. Noche is no longer there.
Okay.
And there's a new director. So I think that yes. So I've talked about. How they didn't learn lessons from
the problem,
the 10-year review. No, I would say not to bring them back because they may not even want to come back. When it's clear your bosses have shown you that they don't want to work with you, you wouldn't even want to come back if they call you.
But you even want to come and help solve a problem.
But I'm saying that get them to utilize their experience and expertise.
I see.
Yeah, get them to help. Don't say that, oh, I've sent you to this department. It's not too late because as we speak, more than 80,000 students have still not been placed as we speak.
Earlier, reports across the country indicated that it is easing up, the trouble, perhaps because of the surge in the numbers. Now it's easing up. This is better, right?
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Should they extend the what they call period for the registration and selection of the schools further?
I don't believe in these deadlines. That's why we didn't use these deadlines. It also adds to the pressure. The initial deadline was 48 hours. Now they've said up to Thursday. I don't believe in. Don't announce deadlines. Just give people the.
Should they scrap the current deadlines?
They should scrap the deadlines.
And you see, because students can go to school early.
So you just tell people the reporting period. You're reporting between 11th and say 15th, 16th.
Okay.
So from now up to that time, and then there's some, reduction of tension and all of that. So the strict deadlines didn't help, especially when you knew that your IT systems were not as robust because to have all these huge numbers, more than 400,000 people are trying to check their placements and select schools and all of that.
But there will be a deadline at some point in time. You know that there will be a deadline. They can't continuously be placed forever. It's true.
No, it's the
even if it's the ending of the first term, there will surely be a deadline.
Yes, but you don't do these narrow deadlines. You don't do it this way. You have 48 hours. You have 72 hours. You have up to Thursday. No, I mean, let there be enough room. For flexibility, so that your systems don't get jammed, so that you don't suffer too much pressure.
So you're convinced that the placement system has not been properly managed
at all? It's been a sham, unfortunately. We all don't wish for that, and we need to be empathizing with the parents out there. They don't deserve what they are going through. They don't deserve it.
Was this written on the wall from point zero?
Yes, it was, and I kept pointing to that. If you check the parliamentary records, I said that look, we are spending too much time on razzmatazz.
Perhaps you're just being pessimistic.
I saw it coming. You see, when you ask for a blueprint, we kept asking, what's the blueprint? What's the program of action? How are you rolling?
Have you gotten
How are you rolling your free SHS out? We still don't have it. How are you rolling your free SHS out? It is only this weekend that the Ministry of Education engaged the Education Committee, only this weekend in Koforidia, on how they are rolling it out. This weekend, just 3 days ago.
Briefed.
And they were just briefed without any program of action, no blueprint. We don't have it. I was speaking to Peter Nochukote, the ranking member of the Education Committee, and they don't have any document. They don't have any blueprint. So, even criteria, the criteria for 30%, they don't have it. They ask for what the cutoff point is. The cutoff point has become such a mystery. They can't tell us what the cutoff point is. The GS Director General
But the fact that they've told us that, in fairness, the 9% are those who did not pass. So it is known.
The 8%.
Yes, the 8% are those who did not pass. So it is known.
How do you assess the do not pass?
Oh, to say those who did not get between A1 and C6.
No, the statement that they put out said that those who got a 9 in English or or science.
No, but that's what the minister stated categorically.
But the director
the deputy minister was clear in his mind.
But the director general
statement,
so you see, it's even the cutoff you don't know.
But it could be they change the policy. With time you can make amendments.
But Raymond, you notice that what has saved the day, the 36,000 who cannot be placed as they have announced, what has saved the day is the private BEC program which we put in place. Okay. You remember at the time they ridiculed and said that they were going to redefine basic education so that you move straight to SHS. They have put
that on hold for now. I spoke to them and they said that that's on hold for now because doing that with the free SHS program was going to be cumbersome. So they wanted one system at a time.
So can you imagine if we had not implemented that review, private BEC, where would these 36,000 people go? So all wasn't bad and horrible under the NDC government.
Interesting. It looked like you were excited saying that. What? We told you so.
Oh, not really. Because you see, people are these are irate times, as we say, local parents. Parents are frustrated and all of this.
You cannot.
These are the times to be rejoicing. No.
But let me find out.
We all have
of course,
nephews
the
and
committee
nieces
might have met what they call it, the ministry. But is the committee planning on dragging the ministry to Parliament and come and explain what is really happening? You're on recess, I know. But I know you've also come back from recess to do some business before. This is an important matter. It involves the lives of over 400,000 Ghanaians, the future of these Ghanaians. Yeah.
We have discussed a number of options. The first one is to hold a press conference tomorrow. So we'll hold a press conference tomorrow as a minority. Fortunately, it's not likely that we can convince the speaker to get a recall just on this. So we would have to look forward to October. But we want to raise the issues. We want to raise the issues as forcefully as we can and hope that the ministers of education will listen to us and will take on board the concerns that we are raising. We are also saying that it's important that people in the system who have done this for many years should be encouraged to also help to ease down the confusion and the chaos. So
people like you are going back to the education ministry?
Not at all. I don't want to go back there.
You're going to lend some help to the people there?
If I'm asked to help, why not? I mean, and it's surprising, you know, the things we do in this country that once your party is out of power, then you can't really help.
Because you may more likely be interested in finding loopholes and complain about it in the open than lending some help to people.
Sometimes in this house, behind the scenes, when you know, we are asked to help on other matters, we do. So, not at all. At the end of the day, this is about Ghana, and it's about our nieces and nephews and the younger ones who, you know, have to get an education. We can't afford to toy with that.
Charles is saying that the monies they require to do the job ahead of time, not all have been released. In fact, we understand that as of now, it's only some textbooks that's gone to the schools and some other things on the grounds now. After this break, we'll come talk about looking into the future of this free SHS program. What's likely to be its future? What are the things we should look at? And there's a big quality question hanging on all of these discussions that we should be doing when we come back from this break. You're welcome back. This is UPfront. My guest is a former Deputy Education Minister. He's in the minority now, but speaks on foreign affairs matters. We're just tapping into his abilities in the area of education when he was very active in that particular ministry, especially when we seem to have a free SHS program, that implementation is not necessarily going the way even those managing it admit it should go. So the Honorable Samuel Okudita-Blakwa is our guest here, but Honorable, we left off with this conversation of finding out from you. Now, I mean, it's water under the bridge. Whether we like it or not, the kids will have to go to school. Yeah. Whether we like it or not, the academic year will have to start. And this free SHS program will be implemented because we've devoted money from it, from the ABFA and also our own projections as a government to this particular program. Do you think that free SHS will end up delivering value for money and that the idea of making sure that we fix not only the cost issue, but the quality issues are also dealt with?
Well, it will depend on the approach by the new government.
They say they are doing staff rationalization. They say they are providing facilities to improve the current state of affairs. They say they're also making sure that supervision is top-notch. Are these steps in the right direction?
They are good steps, and you notice that we did a lot in that direction. I told you about what we did to reduce teacher absenteeism. We also launched the Secondary Education Improvement Project. And actually, in the Secondary Education Improvement Project lies the key to the successful implementation of free SHS. Because, you know, one of the 4 components was what was largely a piloting of free SHS, the scholarships for 10,400 students. And many Ghanaians were shocked when I said that we started free SHS. The free SHS is not going to be launched September 11, or not going to start September 11. We started it since 2014.
Progressive free SHS, you mean?
No, not. We had 2 programs. We had a progressively free.
Yes.
Then you had the 10,400 students who were fully free. And in addition to...
The one that NAPO says they paid for?
No, not that one. No, that's under the World Bank $156 million facility. That one, they are in final year now. You can get in 125 secondary schools. And the beauty about our program, and you see, they should look at that model. Apart from paying the fees, what is on the bill, we also provided stipends. Every month, there were stipends. Our program cost $500 a term. And so they should look at that model. And in there, you would get a lot of assistance in moving forward. This is for the first time textbooks are actually being sent to the schools ahead of time. And you see, what they are not telling Ghanaians is that those are our textbooks. We did all the work. Those are our textbooks.
But you didn't take it to the schools?
Yes, because they were not ready. The printers were printing. We had awarded the contracts before we left. Those are our textbooks. So the entire time of the NDC government, you didn't take textbooks? No, we did. Yeah, we did a first set. We did from 2011 to 2016. The textbook per student ratio had decreased. Yes, because we were working on this. We had done one earlier. Remember that when we came... But it only takes planning to be able to know that you have this number and you expect that this number will also come in at this particular point in time. I am telling you that those textbooks being distributed are our textbooks. That's the work we did. So you're saying that this government has not bought new textbooks? No. There's not made procurement for new textbooks? Not one. So it is distributing what you put there? Exactly. And the evidence is in what? The evidence is in the 20... Just look at the 2016 and 2015 Get Fund formula. It was it's captured there. The 2015 and 2016 Get Fund formula. And you're convinced that was not abandoned? The money was not misused? No, it wasn't. Because we wanted to take our time, because there were these issues of, you know, poor quality in our textbooks. You know, some of them will say that the head is for carrying load and all of those things. So we wanted to review the curriculum and the content. So we spent a lot of time doing that, making sure that we got it right. And then going through the procurement process. So those textbooks are our textbooks. And remember also that free SHS would not have been possible today, but for the additional infrastructure, the community day schools, the 124, which we started constructing, at least 42 was completed and handed over before we left. As I believe that as we speak now, many more. If they had even been paying the contractors. Some of them are in remote areas that are difficult to reach by the people in the communities. There's a need to build. I have been going around. What do they call it? Residential facilities for them. I have been. If you want to convert them to boarding schools, why not? We have done the first part. You can also continue. But all the schools. But they say the foresight should have been that you place them closer to the schools, to the communities, so that people can go to school without incurring massive losses. It's about land. Where you get the land. It's a huge structure. So it's about availability of land. And that is why we provided buses to all the schools. There are buses and pickups for the heads and the teachers to use. So we have laid a solid foundation, I will argue. Without the solid foundation we laid, free SHS would not have been possible. Because now the new government doesn't have to bother much about infrastructure, but new schools. Hitherto, before we can, you are a fact checker, before we got to power, if you look at the data, if all JHS 3 students wanted to transit to SHS 1, 40% of them will not have access to classrooms. That was the challenge. And that is why we promised 200 in our manifesto. In their 2012 manifesto, they promised 350. But in the 2016 manifesto, I will admit that they didn't promise any infrastructure at all, because they saw that we were addressing that challenge. And so that has made it possible for them to now just be looking at the free SHS. But moving forward, I think that we should pay attention to teachers, incentivizing them, especially maths and science.
There's a teacher motivation part of the school fees, which used to be a PTA engagement, which is now being paid by government. Are you aware?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
That's good, right?
That's good. That's good, and I think that it should even be increased. We should also look at teacher accommodation, especially in the hard-to-reach schools. That is why under the secondary education program project, we identify 125 of these low-performing schools in deprived areas and upgraded them. So we should be doing that. Ultimately, we should try to bring up. It's not good that, and all of this pressure is because so many people want to go to just a few schools, the Presex, Achimoters, Wesley Girls, and let's try to create more.
But that is what model school plan.
Yeah, unfortunately, they did less than 10 of that. They said they would do that in every district.
Did you complete all?
No, they didn't.
But you didn't complete all.
No, they didn't even start for us to complete.
Oh, so but you said that they did less than 10?
Yes, less than 10.
So you should have completed the rest of them in other districts?
No, what we virtually did that with our new schools, because you remember the criteria for citing the schools was first districts without senior high schools. So even that model was wrong. If you say you would pick an existing school and then upgrade it, some districts, they don't have secondary schools at all.
But they are going back to that particular plan. If
there were 23 of them that didn't have, because now
they are going back to the model schools plan.
Now they can do that because we have created a secondary school in every district. Now you have a secondary school in every district. Yes, there's no district in Ghana without a secondary school. We started, there were 23 of them without senior high schools, and those were our priority, the first districts that we decided to construct the community day school. So a lot has been done, but what is clear to me is that government is going to struggle to find the money for adequate implementation, proper implementation of free SHS. You need 600 million cedis a term. 1.8.
They say 400 million. They say by the second and third term, so it would have been lesser than that, because one of items that are supposed to be taken care of will be taken care of. How do you do a different calculation and still insist that the current government got the numbers wrong? They
got the numbers wrong, and you can see already. And we are not the only ones saying that. The Ghana National Education Coalition has said that.
Okay.
The likes of Professor Odro at UCC have said that. And that is why if you look at the numbers are not adding up. The numbers are not adding up. They should tell us.
So they will struggle with the funding.
They will struggle with the funding. They will not be able to find the money, and that is why
they will not be able to sustain it. You think so?
It's not sustainable, and especially under the current circumstances, and if they want to just for political expediency do that, quality will have to suffer. They will not be able to maintain the science resource centers, maintain the renovation programs which we started, ensuring that you are recruiting teachers. As we speak, there are vacancies for at least 17,000 teachers, at the second cycle level, which we got financial clearance for, and they are yet to recruit. So you're going to see a lot of things suffer in terms of even staff recruitment, in terms of textbooks, computers, lab equipment, reagents, and all of those things, because they want to say that we are implementing free SHS.
You have the opinion it will suffer, but these are just things that
already I'm aware that they have reached out. They have reached out to other donor agencies to come support them.
Which institutions are we talking about?
Because they are struggling to find the money here. I know they've reached out. They've reached out to the World Bank. I know that and the World Bank had to even assist them with another $40 million under the secondary education improvement project.
I'm ramping up on this particular conversation. How did they make sure that this is sustainable? Abandon the entire project or retune it?
Retuning and begin with a targeted approach.
Go back to your plan.
Target the vulnerable.
So what is currently the case? They can't do anything about it.
Target those who really need it. And we are going to...
Are you insisting that what is currently the case, they can't do anything about it?
What is currently
when
the
you are
case,
saying that the only problem is money and government is willing to pump money into that area?
Because you can find the money. I can assure you, Raymond, that we'll have this discussion again where they would eat humble pie and come to a targeted approach. This is not a sustainable option. And already you started hearing that they are not saying that old boys shouldn't help, old girls shouldn't help, other philanthropies can come on board and assist schools of their choice. We are going to come back to a more rational, sustainable, targeted approach. That is where we will get to. This approach is not sustainable.
Honorable, thank you so much for joining us on Upfront. Well, that's where we tie the nice ribbon on this particular day's edition of Upfront. We hope to see how the free SHS plan goes. When it goes well, it's for the good of the state. Thank you so much for joining us.